Yo, yo, yo. What's good? What's good? It's STORMYBMAN, and I am live and on the move. Shout out to the brother Junior the Truth. Yeah. It's a cold one out here in the Chi this morning, you guys, as I do my morning commute. It's 23 degrees with a wind chill factor that makes it feel more like below zero. Yes, and we are dealing with these circumstances of the climate. We are dealing with the circumstances of the climate of boxing. That's why I'm coming to you this morning with a little bit of something. I was watching this show, Adi and G-Man. That's Liam Go and Ali Adedipo from the UK. They're doing their little, recap of the weekend and everything and news that they got down the pipeline. Apparently Hamza Shiraz is coming back very soon for a fight. And of course they can't tell you who it's going to be and what date and all of that, but they got to tell you because, Adi rode the plane with Hamza Shiraz coming back from this weekend's events, and so he's just got to let you know he's rubbing elbows with these guys. You see, I told you some of these dudes are just they're not even professional, but they think they are, and the fact that they have information but they can't disclose it to you. Well, you don't have information because the non-disclosure is a non-revelation of anything. So why are you even mentioning anything? Why? To get people to come to your channel, to get people to stir up conversation. Let's talk about what really is. And during their conversation, they touched on something that I noticed that is straight across the board the same way of ill acknowledgement. Okay, so we're going to talk about that a little bit as I do this morning commute on the move. Salute to everybody out there. I see you guys filing into the building. We got Black Martial Arts Society. What's going on with you, brother? Nice video that you sent me. I appreciate you doing that, boy. Sharing me, man. Share with me because, I can't see everything. But when you share it with me like that, I get a chance to catch a moment in between my day-to-day orders of business and everything and preparing for my own shows and stuff like that. So I really appreciate you sharing that with me. I did go over there and check it out. Gave you a thumbs up. Show some love and support. Keep doing what you're doing, brother. We got Mac of the South in the building. Good morning to you. Appreciate you guys coming out this morning. It's early, I know, but some of you start your days maybe a little bit earlier than STORMYBMAN does. So much respect, man, for those of us who keep the candle lit, huh? Sometimes people don't appreciate what we do, but we're the ones that keep taking it to the max day in and day out, huh? And we're underpaid and underconsidered, yeah, for the job at hand and the task that we do. Yeah. So anyway, back to Adi and G-Man. They were talking about when Adi arrived in Vegas that there were whispers and of some big news. And one of the things he spoke about Chris Mannix, huh? He said that Chris Mannix is like the Mike Cappinger, huh? Interesting that he would put the two together like that, but he says that Mannix walks up to him and thanks Black Martial Arts. He says, drive safe. I'll do my best, bro. Yeah. He said that there was rumblings, and Chris Mannix walked up to him and asked him, "Do you know?" And he was like, "I didn't want to reveal anything on my end, so I tried to play dumb and say, do I know what's going on?" And he says, Conor Ben has just joined Zuffa. And he was like, oh yeah, I'm aware of that or whatever. And they started talking, and they started speaking on the fact that has been the big news this past week out of the UK, that Conor Ben has left Matchroom Boxing to join and align his services going forward, at least for a single fight deal. It could be more going over to Zuffa Boxing. Now, yesterday I did a video talking about primarily Peter Fury, the uncle of Tyson Fury and boxing trainer of some of the Fury brothers, as well as Savannah Marshall, how he had his say about Conor Ben leaving the Matchroom family. Today, I'm going to kind of respond or reply to what they were saying about Conor Ben, and how apparently Matchroom supported him during his harsh times. His harsh times consisted of the PED allegations. But the way that they referenced it, family, is why I'm doing this live right now. Just like with Ryan Garcia here in America, when they talked about it, they said, well, Matchroom and Hearn, they were there for Conor when he was dealing with whatever it is, That's how they referenced it, whatever it is. Do you see why we should not really be supportive or take much credence from these guys? You have to tell the truth. You have to say what it is, because he is not victim in this situation, nor is Ryan Garcia victim from the circumstances where he got caught cheating. See, this is the thing I have a problem with these guys. That's why I call them sexperts, Guys who are sexually attracted to these athletes, guys who are so-called experts, but they know little to nothing about integrity. You see, because there was a time when sports writers and journalists, they follow these athletes around to get the story regarding the sport that they participated in. The personal lives of the athletes was always like off limits. You didn't put that stuff in the papers or whatever. And that's the way America once was. But the sensationalism and the dramatic aspects of dealing with these entertainers, celebrities, sports figures, and so forth, to get the dirt on somebody. You see, to get the dirt on them. Universal, what's good with you? That's what they aim for now. And it's a shame, because we all have dirty laundry, I mean, that's what we are in America. In God's word, he says he views us as filthy rags. Filthy rags. What is a filthy rag? It's a dirty piece of laundry, So these guys can't tell the truth on the athletes, but they want to sit up and act like they have dignity and have forum of conversation, but not be transparent on what it really is. If I'm going to report on Conor Ben, I'm going to remind people that he's a PED user, and they got him out of the business of that trouble that comes with being a violator of rules on banned substances. Matchroom got him out of that. Ed Hearn fought tooth and nail for that. when I mentioned it yesterday, I talked about it, and I said, hey, the money that he spent, he probably put money in Ben's pocket and everything else because he wanted Ben to be able to fight, and he wanted to be able to reap the proceeds that would come out of that fight with Chris Eubank Jr. See, that was the biggest fight in the UK. And Hearn, since he's messed up so many affairs, he fumbled the ball with so many other promotional opportunities. That was one he just didn't want to let go. Similar to like when Amir Khan and Kell Brook had their rivalry, and they allowed that foolishness to go on to way beyond the guy's best fighting years, huh? And by the time it still took place, yeah, their names were known and famous and things of that nature, but the fight wasn't what it could have been had it taken place when it should have taken place. So you got these promoters out here doing the unfortunate thing of holding up the sport for their personal gains or for others' setback. And in the other hand, here they are trying to, make things happen at their time and at their will. See, Hearn fumbled another ball because with Conor Benn leaving, whatever his plans, Jose Diaz, what's good? Whatever his plans were for Conor Benn and Jaron Boots Ennis, that's out the window now. You see, because a lot of people didn't see that coming. But the brother Drew Titan and I have been speaking on that was one of the things that Hearn and Matchroom was trying to do. They were trying to slide Ben over so he could get in there with Boots Ennis. They wanted to have the show in the UK, and they were going to give Boots the business. Yeah, they were. But guess what? Conor saw a loophole, a way, a gap, and he took it. He got the hell up out of there. You know what I'm saying? So now Hearn has to do a bit of reshuffling of the deck. Good. But this is not about that. This is about Ade Oladipo and Liam Gall talking around the subject of the man at hand. You see, if you have full transparency in talking about these guys, then there's not a problem. There's not an issue, huh? If you have full transparency, just like with Ryan Garcia. Every time leading up to this promotion with Barrios, and even prior to that, since he's come back to fight, which began last summer in May on that that fight card in New York, Times Square, they did not speak of Ryan being fined, suspended. The WBC had separated themselves from him for a duration, a small time. That was just a public show of where they had to pretend like they were admonishing Garcia. But since that time, all interviews, anything to do with him, they spoke as if Ryan had been on, as the guys in the UK say, holiday, which is vacation in America. But this is the thing. Why not tell the truth on the guy? And it's not to slander him, because he slandered himself. Understand that. So did Conor, by cheating. You see, because upstanding individuals don't have to worry about that aspect of how their image is projected. Look at Devin Haney for an acute example. They make up lies and stories on Devin Haney to villainize him because it's so bad in the immediate vicinity of where he competes that everybody else are shit show individuals. poor character, poor ethics, poor abilities. But they don't want to say that about them. Because you know why? And I realize this too. Because even in my own work environment, I say this. There are people who are substandard, sub-quality, maybe shouldn't even be in the environment, shouldn't be on their job or whatever. They fall short. But they are included because anyone else may be in supervisory position, maybe in ownership, maybe overall because of who they are with the character that they have. They want inclusion. They want that inclusion because, you know what? Well, I go out after work myself and I have a drink or two. Happy hour is something I look forward to. Whereas you might go and look forward to being with your family and taking care of your business or going to your next grind or whatever. But they want to feel better about themselves, so they don't put down what should be put down. This is that world and the light of the world in the world that's growing ever darker. You do not get the consideration because they are including so much of the riffraff that you can't even become the best or do the best or present the best because you have that other low quality substandard entity bringing everything else down. Conor Benn is a drug cheat. Ryan Garcia is a drug cheat. Tyson Fury is a drug cheat. You have to say it for what it is. A fighter like Devin Haney has done no wrong. A fighter like Jai Opetaia has done no wrong. Yet and still, these men don't get the credit that they deserve because they're including so much of the riffraff. Well, we can't forget about these guys. Yes, we can. It is not a thing of comfort to see when people who should receive their true accolades are disallowed or inconsidered. Do you know, like, if you have small children and they're in school and the teacher comes to you and says, wow, your son, daughter, they're performing very well. They're performing a grade level above. We're happy to say that they're doing the best. They're head of the class. That's something for you to feel pretty darn good about. That your child is there to learn. They're getting the curriculum. They're passing. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Now, 20% of their classmates may show up just for attendance, to get the meals at lunchtime, to see their friends, and to commune with them. They ain't even thinking about studying and everything because their parents ain't got their foot on them, telling them the significance of going to school and everything. So they are a distraction. Then you have those who are there trying to learn and everything, but maybe they have an environment that takes their focus off of things and they can't really hunker down and study and everything because of the circumstances where they come from. And that's unfortunate. But you got a teacher, instructor, class, overall, school approach to these circumstances and not trying to invest in building these children up under these circumstances, but they'd rather just make everybody moderate, including your child who is ahead of class, but they're moderating them at the expense of their others. That's not right. That's not right. If your child is an A student, they shouldn't take the ones who are D students, C students, and make them Bs just to close the gap. No, the gap exists for a reason. The gap exists because it's supposed to show you the dividing line between being successful and failing. And if you're failing, there's work to do to overcome. Isn't that correct? See, this is the, but now understand, I'm not trying to get off subject at all, but I'm giving you an analogy because when you look at what's going on with Ryan, when you look at what's going on with Connor, they've been allowed to continue to compete even though they are sub-quality fighters. You see the play here? You're sub-quality, and I have to consider you, but you're bad, and you need banned substances to even allow you to be in a conversation with those who are competitive. Something's terribly wrong here. And then when you consider these guys who have platforms like Adi and G-Man, and they speak, well, whatever it is, you know, the Matchroom helped him out with whatever it is. Whatever it is was they helped him remain active in a sport where he should have been banned for cheating, for testing positive for banned substances. Not once, more than twice. So you got these people, man, and they behave like this, but that's that participation trophy society syndrome. Do you see how I'm tying it together now? Just like with Ryan Garcia, when he cheated Devin Haney, had the boxing world frowned upon his actions and told him, hey man, that's unacceptable. We understand that you looked the part in the fight, but we can't accept what happened because what we see is the fact that you needed to take substances in order to be a competitive force at this level. That's unacceptable. Now, that's a spanking. That's literally a slap on his wrist. But it's an acknowledgement that he's done wrong. So guess what? We need you to go back to the drawing board and get your ish together so you could come back and try to be a better person. Ben and Garcia. You see, because hard work doesn't necessarily guarantee success. It doesn't. That's why when Floyd Mayweather used to fight and coming out of the gym where he was training with both his dad, Floyd Sr. and Roger, they used to have this chant. They would do hard work, dedication, all of that. Let me tell you something. It's just as the Bible says, with faith without works is dead, it's futile. Okay? Hard work and dedication doesn't guarantee you success. Sometimes you have to be blessed and fortunate to get success, because that doesn't mean that the other party that you're competing with didn't have hard work and dedication. Sometimes the other party is better or best you in the moment. And that doesn't even mean that you're inadequate. Because if you've done your best, you've given it your all, and you've worked hard, what happens is you've raised yourself from one point to another. Let's see if we can now break the ceiling. PEDs are a cheat code. When have you guys seen Ryan Garcia running miles? When have you guys seen Ryan Garcia doing the calisthenics? I'm not talking about just for the cameras. But all of a sudden we see this young man weeks before the bout with Barrios, and he's got these vasculature, I guess that's the word that you use with muscles and stuff. We've got all of these images of him with veins bulging out of his body and all of that stuff. James Toney used to take banned substances, and his body looked like the Pillsbury Doughboy when he was raising up in weight, like getting up toward cruiser and heavyweight. His boxing skills were always going to be there, but his conditioning was not necessarily at its best. He liked to fight, but he was lazy to train. He considered sparring training. That's why he talks like he talks today. You see, everything isn't what it appears to be when it comes to this thing in boxing. So when you got guys who talk like Addy and G-Man, and they're not the only ones, but I'm speaking on them simply because I encountered that this morning as I was preparing to get ready for work, you know? And it's like, I just have to say something about it because it really riles me up, man. Do you know when I do the Tuesday tussle and I find subjects to speak on and go through the depths of material, I try my best to bring succinct, truthful, sincere information to you. I don't pad it. I don't sugarcoat it. I don't put makeup on anything. It is what it is. And what I don't like is because there are people out here who really thirst for that type of knowledge and that type of understanding, because that's something that you can apply toward life. I talk about it all the time on that show. But when you have these other people and they're just padding the stats, so to speak, saying things that will draw people around and make people feel good and things like that. You know what? I'm not here to make you feel good. I'm really not. Because you're not here to make me feel good. And the understanding of what makes you feel good, what makes you feel safe, and what makes you feel comfortable, all happens to go through a place of, you have to get to a place of understanding life. And if you're younger, you should seek mentorship from places that can provide that. Yeah. So as we go forward, knowing that to not tell it like it is when it comes to these athletes, how do you expect them to become better people if you're not going to acknowledge what their shortcomings are? You know, we've had great musicians in history for the music industry, and some of them have had shorter careers, left the world early, and I don't know what happened there, family. Apologies for that. It's like some kind of interruption in my signal. But put a 1 in the chat if you can still hear me. Put a 1 in the chat. I had a signal interruption, so put a 1 in the chat if you can still hear me, family. I see I got people out there, but I can't get nobody to put a 1 in the chat. Maybe you can't hear me. I don't know. Going back in the chat to where some people were writing, Black Martial Arts Society says musculature and vascularity. Yeah, okay, thank you. That's the word I was looking for. Jose Diaz says, I like James, but he was a sitting target. James. Who are you talking about with James? People forget Ryan Pop for Nandrolone as well. Yeah. Flying Guillotine, what's good with you? Top of the morning to you. Yeah. But I'm gonna say this, man. I don't like how they skirt around the meat of what's transpiring. You know, you can't ignore the elephant in the room. There are some talented individuals, but if they have shortcomings, if they have tried to get an edge by doing things, it needs to be spoken about. It needs to be exposed. It needs to be said, because guess what? There are those out there who are really doing their best to be the best. Yeah. You're supposed to just overlook those guys and only give credit to the ones who are, you know, taking advantage of the circumstances that find them on top. I got a problem with that. Got a huge problem with that. Since I had that signal interruption, you guys, nobody else has written in the chat. Are we good out there? Can you guys hear me? Are we still, you know, are we still connected? I've asked you guys to put a 1 in the chat for a reason, because I can't tell. I'm not able to listen to my own feedback or anything. So this is, you know, it is what it is. Can I get you guys to, you know, help me out with that? Let me know what's good, what's going on. Yo. Are we still connected? I can't tell. The hell? Okay, but nobody's responding to me though. That's that. Okay. Anyway, nobody's responding. So, but see, this is this. I'm gonna tell you guys this, and I don't care who feels a certain kind of way about it. You see the lack of support and communication. When I ask these things, I'm not on here for just for show. You understand? And if you can't do your little fucking part, man, this is why the nation is falling. This is why everything is faltering. You guys contribute to the bullshit. This is Stormy B, man. Shout out to the mighty LDBC. I'm fucking out of here, man.